For once, Zane bothered to show up at a banquet, and at that banquet, he felt his heart move. The room was packed with battle-scarred sharks who could smell opportunity across a boardroom. One flick of Zane's eyes, and they were already scheming how to curry favor with the kingmaker. That same night, a neat dossier labeled Serena landed on Zane's desk. Zane had never believed in denying himself. If she caught his eye, she belonged inside his fence. A boyfriend was just a detail Serena hadn't noticed yet. While she remained blissfully ignorant, their fates were already tangled. Be good, Wanna, Zane murmured above her. Serena flinched and fought harder. Didn't you already dump him? She glared up at Zane, stubborn fire in every inch of her stare. She had no clue when or how his interest had started. Again and again they played the chase. She ran. He took. She announced she was taken. He bullied her anyway. Rewind 1 hour. Serena had accompanied her boyfriend Finn to the banquet. After one glass he handed her, she felt queasy and asked him to walk her back to the suite. When she woke, the room was a circus. A dozen strangers milled about. A paunchy, greasy executive knelt in the corner. She recognized him, the money man behind her last drama, and her boyfriend stood a few feet away, wearing an unreadable little smile. Zane lounged on the sofa like a man watching cable news, none of it his problem. Serena's first instinct was to blame Zane. She shot him a scowl so icy it made him laugh out loud. Sweetheart, if I'd strolled in 5 minutes later, your boyfriend would have let that pig climb into bed with you. She knew every English word, yet the sentence refused to make sense. Her vision blurred. Behind Zane stood one of his doctor buddies. Finn, what is he saying? The soft question was aimed at the wrong man. Zane loosened his silk tie, irritation prickling. Julian clicked his tongue behind him. Pissed already? Why didn't you just sleep with her that first night? Zane ignored him. He'd wanted to, he'd simply worried the girl would cry. Finn, she needed answers. But Finn stood frozen. Zane flicked a glance. The kneeling fat man began to babble. Serena, I'll talk. Finn's company is hemorrhaging cash. He needed an investor. I hinted I'd help if I could spend the night with Arg. Before he finished, one of Zane's bodyguards flattened him with a kick. Zane waved 2 fingers. The man was dragged out, howls echoing down the corridor. Serena didn't need a map. In the showbiz scene, casting couch bargains were served daily. She just hadn't expected her own boyfriend to play pimp. Even more unbelievable, after years in the spotlight, no one had ever dared lay a finger on her. Why? Finn, a breeze could have knocked her over. Wanna, I'm sorry, I lost my head. Take me back. Okay, let's go home. Julian snorted. You still have the face to ask for forgiveness, Mr. CEO. Finn's cheeks cycled through chalk and green. He stepped toward her. Reaching, she stepped back. Why? Zane watched her cling to the last scrap of pride. Brows knitted. So damn stubborn. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Finn kept chanting. You needed money. Why not tell me? I have cash. I have contacts. Why keep me in the dark? Finn's voice cracked into a shout. Because I didn't want to use your money. Serena laughed, tears streaming. So instead of using your girlfriend's money, you served her up to another man's bed. Wanna, no, listen. She tried to wipe her face. The tears wouldn't stop. This was the boy she'd loved for 7 years. We're done. Zane's brow arched, a delighted curve on his lips. No, we're not over. Forgive me, please. Looking at Finn now, she felt she was staring at a stranger. Every argument ended like this. Finn bulldozed every ounce of blame onto himself. Yet not every mistake deserves absolution. Finn. The room fell deathly quiet when Serena spoke. Even Zane held his breath. The Finn I knew at 17 would never ask the woman I am now to forgive what you just did. She drifted into a daze. How long had she known him? Too long. High school, college. She'd already pictured their wedding. Had tonight never happened, they would probably be sending invitations soon. She had seen him change. No one knew him better. Wanna, don't say that. I really screwed up. She said nothing. Finn snapped, jabbing a finger at Zane on the sofa. Fine. Tonight is on me, but what about you? I've seen you with him more than once. Touching, pulling, Finn. Serena's voice cracked like a whip. She hadn't imagined he would stoop to this. In his eyes, was she that cheap? Youth is short. She'd spent all 7 years of it loving him. At 17, I believed love conquered everything. But Finn, I forgot. When the road is long and the river wide, love survives only on conscience. No more tears. She smiled at herself in scorn, and the emptiness in her pupils made Finn panic. I love you, Wanna. I do. I was talking crap. The flicker of softness in her eyes drove Zane insane with jealousy. He couldn't sit still another second. Finn lunged to hug her. Zane yanked her behind him, fist already smashing into Finn's face, again, like hammering a nail. Julian hadn't seen Zane personally throw a punch in years. You think you're worthy of saying you love her? Finn couldn't block. Zane wouldn't stop. God knew the terror Zane felt when he first shoved that door open, and the savage relief that his girl was still clean, still safe. The woman he cradled like crystal had almost been trampled into mud. mud. And damn if he wasn't rabid with envy that this scumbag had met her first. Blood splattered. Zane kept swinging. Serena looked at Julian for help. He shrugged. When the boss sees red, nobody rides the bull. Maybe you can try. She wanted to if her knees were jelly. If this continued, someone would die. Her trembling fingers brushed Zane's forearm. He froze mid-punch, as if she'd pressed pause. Feeling sorry for him, he asked without turning, voice glacial. Blood. The single word loosened his scowl. He pivoted, blocking the sight with his body. A bodyguard handed him a wet wipe. Zane scrubbed lazily, gaze pinned on her. When he finished, he dropped the crumpled wipe and, before she could react, scooped her into his arms. He carried her out bridal style. The room was contaminated. Julian glanced at the half-conscious Finn and sighed. Pick a fight with the Reaper. Reap the grave. Get him to a hospital. Don't let him croak here. Yes, sir. Zane took the private elevator straight to the penthouse. The instant he set her on the bed, she tried to scramble free. He caged her. Wanna behave? Her lashes quivered as his palms wandered. She thrashed. Didn't you just dump him? She glowered. Equal parts fury and pride. See, you're single. I'm single. Match made in heaven. Baby. He leaned in to kiss her. She turned, and his mouth landed on her cheek. Why did his company suddenly tank? She blurted. He blinked, then realized what she meant. His fingers clamped her chin, forcing eye contact. That's the man you think I am? Her silence said yes. He released her, strode to the balcony, and lit a cigarette. She snapped out of her daze, straightened her clothes, and darted for the door, locked. Honey, I give you one cigarette's head start, and you still haven't walked out? Amusement laced his voice as he closed in. She spun, back pressed to the wood, shielding herself with raised palms. He braced both arms on the door, framing her. If I make a move, Finn evaporates overnight. She understood. If Zane struck, Finn would lose more than capital. While she processed, he leaned in until their breaths mingled. She turned her head away. Play it your way, sweetheart. Even if I did pull the strings and showed you the rat's true face, shouldn't you be thanking me? She stared, incredulous. How could anyone be so shameless? Her anger only stoked his appetite. A large hand cupped the back of her head. He bent and finally tasted the mouth he'd craved. The moment she tried to fight, he pinned her wrists above her head, legs immobilized between his. She bit his tongue hard. The metallic tang spread. He hissed, feisty little biter, aren't you? She looked away. He chased, gripped her chin, tongues tangling until sparks dripped down her spine. Her blouse rode up. Her hands were free again, flailing like a kitten in a bath. When shoving failed, she punched. Giving up, he let go, but kept her locked in the circle of his arms. Should have nailed you that night. Maybe then you'd quit clawing. A shudder rippled through her. That night had seemed routine. She was attending a rap party. She woke in Zane's bed. It was the first time she'd met him, though he acted like they were old acquaintances. He explained, someone drugged her and delivered her. He'd called his private doctor. For 5 generous minutes she'd thought him a saint, until he grinned. Wanna test my kiss? Might beat your boyfriend's. She'd cursed him purple and bolted. Had she known the devil she was insulting, she'd have kissed his shoes instead. His lips brushed hers again. She snapped back and death glared him. Baby, you're in my arms and still daydreaming. Who's on your mind? She stayed mute. He smiled. Silence. He had tools for that. Not talking. Let's discuss it in bed. Hope the nightstand stash fits me, or we'll impro, MMPH. To shut him up, she slapped a hand over his mouth, eyes still spitting daggers. Amusement flooded his face. He unfurled his tongue and licked her palm, slow and deliberate. The wet touch hit her like a burn and Serena jerked her hand back. What are you doing? To Zane the angry demand sounded exactly like a little girl flirting with him. He dipped his head until his lips brushed her ear and whispered 4 soft syllables. Serena went scarlet, every muscle locking. She'd heard him say, I wanted to fuck you, okay? Watching her reaction, Zane decided she was so adorable he had to kiss her. He slid an arm around her waist, scooped her up in one clean lift, and when she squirmed he swatted her bottom. Behave. The second she stopped struggling he smiled. His arms were warm, his steps steady, and from her angle she could see pure happiness lighting his face. When he laid her on the bed again he warned, lie still if you plan to make your call time tomorrow. Serena obeyed, stretching out motionless. Only after Zane disappeared into the bathroom did her nerves uncoil. Too much had happened and she drifted off thinking about it. He'd hurried so she wouldn't fall asleep, but she'd still beaten him to it. He poked her cheek. So trusting. Huh. With a sigh he went back for cleanser, knelt beside the bed, and gently removed her makeup, then wiped her face with a warm towel. After that he messaged someone. Minutes later clean clothes arrived. He crouched again, studying her, brushing a kiss across her mouth. Much sweeter when you're asleep. As for the clothes, he dressed her himself, dropped another punitive kiss on her her lips, and finally headed for the bathroom. He stayed under the cold spray a long time. When he emerged, he was chilled. He stepped onto the balcony, lit a cigarette, and let the night air leach the ice from his skin. Hours deep, he stared at the city, thoughts unreadable. Ash crumbled and burned his fingers before he blinked back to the present. His gaze swung to Serena, on the bed, emotions churning. She was in his hands now. Run again and Finn would simply cease to exist. She'd guessed right. The troubles at Finn were his doing. At first he'd meant to wait, let her break up with Finn, then pursue her, until he learned Finn had already ordered a ring. He couldn't wait any longer. Another week and he'd be reading wedding invitations. Finn, though, turned out to be paper thin. Zane barely flexed and the relationship shredded. When his body finally warmed, he returned to bed, pulled her close, and pressed a reverent kiss to her forehead. Such a good girl, mine. Morning. Serena stretched, and felt an arm locked around her waist. Her guarded eyes shot straight into Zane's. Morning, baby. Instinct swung her fist. He caught it effortlessly, tugged, and caged her tighter. Only then did she realize she was in pajamas, and nothing beneath. Pervert. Keep going. Scoundrel. Jerk. Ass. MMPH. The more she cursed, the cuter she sounded. He pinned her and kissed her senseless. When he let her up, she glared daggers. Sweetheart, get moving and you'll still have time for breakfast. Serena wouldn't gamble with work. She grabbed the outfit he'd laid out and locked herself in the bathroom. When she emerged, the table was set. Zane sat scrolling his phone. He glanced over. Sizes okay? Her cheeks flamed. She ignored him and ate. He dragged his chair beside hers and simply watched. Even her iron nerves cracked under that stare. Before, he'd only hovered. She'd had a boyfriend, so he'd kept his hands mostly to himself. Now she and Finn were finished, and nothing restrained him. When do I get a title, baby? We've kissed. We've cuddled. Don't tell me you're skipping the commitment part. Smells to me like somebody's a heartbreaker. Mid-sip of congee, she choked. He swiped a napkin and dabbed her mouth. Easy, landing a catch like me is exciting, but you deserve the best. I have to leave. She shot up. He pressed her down again. Few more bites. I'll drive. You won't be late. She obeyed, and he delivered her to Finn, kissing her stupid before he let her out. Days passed. Zane chauffeured her every morning and night. Serena played docile, but Zane knew calm seas hide sharks. Sure enough, one afternoon he arrived to an empty curb. She'd wrapped at noon, skipped the wrap party, and gone straight home. He checked the GPS pin on his phone and chuckled, a fine. Let her roam a little. Evening came and still no sign of him. She finally exhaled. Her phone buzzed. Finn, Nan. I'm downstairs. Finn, can we talk? Finger hovering. She pulled on a jacket and went down, soft-hearted as ever. Finn looked thinner. What is it? His heart clenched. Nan, don't shut me out like that. She paled. Across the street sat a car she knew intimately. Finn, we're done. He reached for her. She stepped back and his hand closed on air. He's over there. They both knew who he meant. You're scared of him, aren't you? She met his eyes. Aren't you? Finn retreated a step, laughing bitterly. Game, set, match. There's no going back. Move forward. Okay. The moment Finn left, Zane's hazards blinked. Serena walked over. The windows slid down. Get in. The night wind cut through her thin pajamas. She shivered, defiant. Before she could decide, he was out. The slam of the door pounding like a gavel. She backed away. He seized her and stuffed her into the seat. I'm in pajamas. Let me change. He drove in silence. She curled into the passenger seat. Mute. This Zane scared her. Because of the shoot, they'd been living at the hotel. Tonight, for the first time, he took her to his house. He led her inside, pressed her into the sofa and kissed her until she was breathless. The more she resisted, the harder he held. When he pulled back, they were both panting. Tell me, baby, what did you say to the ex? You know what I want to hear. His hand traced dangerous circles on her waist. And nothing. He chuckled, fingers gliding to her cheek. So naughty. Honestly, nothing. Suddenly, he produced her phone. Broken up, but not blocked. Keeping him on retainer? She lunged. He leaned back and she toppled onto him. He tried to hand you to another man, and that's not war. You're charitable. She wrestled silently, not noticing how intimate they looked. After letting her flail, he flipped her beneath him, yanked free his silk tie, and bound her wrists. Untie me. He cradled her against his chest and, in full view, deleted Finn, number, WhatsApp, Instagram, every trace. You can't. He tossed the phone aside. Have I spoiled you too much? She fell still. She feared him, not the way Finn feared power, but Zane himself. When she stayed mute, he spoke quietly. Baby, this house is huge, right? She looked around and nodded. It was. So, where do you want our first time? What first time? She asked. Blank. His gaze dropped to her lips, hand sliding to the waistband of her sweats. You know what I mean. She stiffened, shaking her head. Give me a title, or spend the night, Pick one. Can I pick neither? She thought. The hand at her waist crept upward. I can choose for you. I'm tired. Let's head upstairs. She shook frantically. He pinched her side. No sleeping leaves one option. She started to refuse. He cupped her nape. Say the words I want. You're forcing me. Yep. Still choosing. I don't want either. Her eyes watered. He sighed. What's that? You want me as your boyfriend? Well, since you insist. Serena, so, baby, can we do what couples do now? Zane. Right here. You, shameless. True. Baby, let me go. She felt drained. She never won against him. Baby, I'm mad. Soothe me. Say, Zane is Serena's boyfriend. Please? She pretended stupidity. He always had tools to make her speak. She felt his fingers slide under the elastic of her pants. Her bound hands useless. Spent. Enjoy that, sweetheart. She refused to give him the satisfaction. The man was pure rogue. He laughed softly, untied the tie, massaged her wrists. So what are we now? She shut her eyes. Deaf mute. He covered her mouth. Invaded. Claimed. I'll answer for you. We're a couple. Serena surrendered. Whatever. Fine. Who cares? Until he carried her toward the bathroom. She clutched the doorframe. What? Remembering his last answer to that question, she couldn't finish. He peeled her fingers away. What do people do in bathrooms? Bathe. Or did you have something else in mind? I can wash myself out. I need a shower too. Baby. Then I'll wait outside. Let go. Nope. I get scared alone. Tears threatened. In the end, they stumbled out flushed and breathless. Every boundary crossed except the final one. I hate you. The moment Serena touched the bed, she curled into the far corner, looking like a scolded puppy. Zane climbed in right after her and hauled her against his chest. That's fine. I like you. Like, after all these months of being shadowed by Zane, it was the first time Serena had heard him say it. She had no energy left to spar. She was bone-deep tired. Even breathing slowed in his arms. Zane dropped a tender kiss on her hair, the devotion in his eyes deep enough to drown in. From then on, Serena's life turned mechanical. Work or accompany Zane. Rinse. Repeat. Day after day his need to control her sharpened, until her only instinct was escape. She thought it, and then she did it. She stayed in her agent's office for hours. When she left, the announcement, Serena, the industry, shot to the top of Instagram's trending list. Right after clearing the building, she deleted every app, SIM card and all. Everything except WhatsApp. In the end, she smashed the phone and tossed the pieces. WhatsApp had to stay. Kill it and the man on the other end would know. At that moment, Zane was still drinking with Julian and the others. He kept texting Serena one-sidedly. No reply only meant she was busy, he told himself. On the couch, she felt dazed. She'd hustled in the showbiz scene for years. Was she really walking away? When her agent asked if she would regret it, she'd blanked. Why had she ever entered the business? She didn't miss it. She'd wanted connections, big paychecks, a future with Finn. Design was her real dream, but somewhere everything had warped. She still had time. Leave. Reset. Zane was already twitchy. She hadn't answered in ages. Julian noticed him staring at the phone and started scrolling himself. One swipe and the feed exploded. Your little starlet just bailed on the business? Zane looked up. Blank. Say that again? Julian shoved the screen at him. The darker the headlines got, the blacker Zane's face became. He dialed voicemail. He opened the Spycam app's GPS pin, grabbed his coat and raced over, only to fish her shattered phone from a trash can. Serena, you'd better pray I don't catch you. She didn't flee the country. That would be obvious. She hopped buses until she reached her parents' house in a tiny county town. Vance and her father nearly cried when their girl walked in. Vance took her to buy a new phone and registered a fresh SIM under his own name. She volunteered nothing. They asked nothing. Their child was grown. Her choices were hers. That night Vance slipped into Serena's room. Sweetie, did someone hurt you? No. Mom, I'm just tired. I want out of showbiz. I want to be a designer. Good. You've loved that since you were small. Your dad and I always wondered why you became a star. I wonder too. What about your boyfriend? We're over. Serena blinked at Vance's calm. You're not going to ask why. You two never fit. Serena swallowed. Okay. Even Mom saw it. Rest. Work can wait. Have fun. Got it. Mom, you turn in too. After Vance left, Serena was about to sleep when a text blinked in. 1 year. Cryptic. Until she realized it was Zane. You get 1 year. Baby. Hide well. Her pulse spiked. But then she reasoned. Zane keeps his word. 1 year means 1 year. Maybe by then he'll be bored. That thought let her breathe. Across the country, Zane was at the airport. Julian glanced at his stony profile. Sure you don't need to chase her right now? No rush. The kitten wants to play. Let her play. play. Zane never acted without certainty. A year felt endless, but he was flying overseas on business that might kill him. Honestly, it's better with what's coming. Having her away keeps her safe. If the emergency hadn't popped, Serena would already be back in his bed. Asterisk 12 months can crawl or fly. Serena had found a job assisting Finn at the local studio, small pay, steady days. Parents nearby, happiness. So happy that memories of Zane felt like last decade's dream. But dreams don't leave scars. Mom, we're downstairs. Sweetie, come help. Your dad bought half the market. On my way. She threw on a coat and jogged down, scanning for her parents, until a certain car cut across her eyesight. A car she knew down to the stitches in the leather. Zane, a name she'd almost forgotten. He stepped out. They stood on opposite curbs. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it, rather, feared it. On the other side, Zane lifted his handset, signaling. She surrendered and looked. Come here. 2 words. A choke chain. She met his gaze and stayed frozen, silent refusal. He only smiled and glanced left. Her eyes followed. Vance and her father were back. Still smiling. He started toward them. Serena's composure snapped. She dashed across the asphalt. Momentum slammed her straight into his chest. He caught her without a stagger. Tisk. Baby missed me that much? She tilted her head. Rebuttal ready. But the cold glint in his smile swallowed it. She dropped her gaze. Yeah. She murmured. I missed you. He knew it was a lie, and loved it. Head down apology lacks sincerity. I brought presents. Figured I'd meet the in-laws. She jerked back. Leave my parents alone. His cool thumb brushed a tear from her lashes. Why would I touch them? Baby, we're finished. Steel flashed in his eyes. One-sided breakups don't count. Walk with me, or I walk to your folks. She pressed her lips. He ran out of patience. He opened the trunk. Gifts in one hand, her wrist in the other, intent obvious. She gaped. He really had come to court her parents. 2 steps later, her arms circled his waist, locking him. He laughed. So you picked door number 1. Come with me? She said nothing. Neither of his options was on her menu. Then we're going home. Patience gone. He tossed the gifts back, lifted her into the car and drove off. Vance rang. Sweetie, you didn't come down? Mom, my boss called an emergency trip. I already left. Forgot to tell you. Okay, work hard. Don't worry about us. Love you. Mom. The call ended. She burst into quiet sobs. Zane said nothing, but the clench of his jaw telegraphed his mood. She dozed, woke, dozed again, until the cage swallowed her once more. Inside the house, pinned to the sofa under him, the weight of captivity finally felt real. Tears leaked. He braced above her, watching the girl fall apart. Haven't even started. And you're crying? Being with me hurts that bad? She shook her head, sniffled. I'm starving. Sniff. He exhaled. Little tyrant. I owe you in every life. He stood and headed for the kitchen. She sat bewildered, watching him move around, something softening inside. Come eat. A bowl of noodles waited. Under his stare, she slurped every strand. More. She shook her head. Fruit on the table. Go on. You've lost weight. He took the bowl to rinse. Back on the couch, she bit into a strawberry. Lost weight. Yeah. Maybe nothing had changed. Her favorite fruit and snacks still covered the coffee table. Zane really had kept her well. Drowsy, she curled up and slipped into sleep. He found her, a tiny lump on the leather, and desire surged. He carried her to bed. She never stirred, dead to the world. He didn't plan on letting her stay that way. He pinched her nose. Air gone. She fluttered awake. Only when skin met skin did full consciousness hit. Problem? Both of them. 0 clothes. Zane, right here. Don't, he chuckled. Hands roaming. Don't what? Baby, this. Or this? Tears brimmed. He swallowed them with a kiss. Crying already. How will you survive the night? She trembled. Covered her mouth to stay quiet. He pinned both hands. Interlaced fingers. Love hearing you. Baby. Time blurred until heartbeats matched. The night was still young. She woke afternoon. Body one big ache. He'd been awake. Curious, until her foot sent him rolling to the rug. Only then did she realize what she'd done. She burrito wrapped herself. Sorry. He laughed in disbelief. Scrambling back, he yanked the blanket down. Work you all night, and this is my thanks? She turned away. Silent treatment means round 2. She shook her head fast. Fingers on his forearm. No more. Her own voice was honey she didn't know she had. He leaned in. That a plea? Baby, blink, if he said so. I'm dead tired and starving. Can I have yesterday's noodles again? No one had ever begged him like this. He floated. Even if she was scamming him, worth it. Stay put. I'll cook. Once he left, she took in the rec room and flushed crimson. All she remembered was begging him to stop. He never had. Still, a sigh. She was caught. Yet he didn't seem furious. An all-night marathon equaled a not mad. If she hadn't blacked out, he would still be going. Logic that never reached her. Losing her V-card and thinking she'd gotten away cheap. At the table she peeped at him. Something on your mind, baby? Zane, you've already slept with me. Go on, he drawled. She gulped. Maybe she shouldn't. The glint in his eye spelled trouble. So, can I go back to work? Babe, your credit score with me is kind of low. Serena didn't say the rest out loud, but Zane could fill in the blanks. Lucky for her, the kid had the sense to stop there, because if she hadn't, please. Serena looked at him, eyes shining. What's wrong with letting me take care of you? Zane pulled her over and settled her on his lap. Serena pressed her lips together and stayed quiet. She still wanted out. Kiss me, just 2 words. Then he stared straight at her. Her fingers twisted the hem of her shirt. Finally she made up her mind and brushed her lips against his. Too half-hearted. Babe, again. She swallowed, shut her eyes, and leaned in once more. This time she simply kept her mouth on his. Motionless. Zane didn't move either, but his hand was already slipping under her shirt. Serena's eyes snapped open. A soft whimper escaped, and Zane crushed his mouth to hers, teeth and tongues clashing. Later, she woke up in bed. Zane wasn't in the room. Serena lay staring at the ceiling and let out a long sigh. He still hadn't said yes or no about the job. She bit her lip, got up, and went to find him. She couldn't run anyway. Might as well humor the big baby. She finally located him in the study, typing away at his laptop. When she stepped in, he glanced up without a word. She closed the door, heart drumming, and walked toward him. Slept enough, She had reached his side when cold feet struck. She pivoted to leave, but an arm snagged her waist and deposited her back on his lap. Zane sighed inwardly. Silly babe still hadn't learned how to coax him. Serena gnawed her lip, screwed up her courage, and lifted her face to kiss him the way he kissed her. Copying the master didn't work. The lead returned to Zane in seconds. Why so clumsy? Babe, she shot him a glare and struggled up. Jerk, forget negotiating. Strength wasn't on her side. Furious, she sank her teeth into his collarbone. Ouch. Our girls got bite. Realizing what she'd done, she tried to let go, but his fingers locked on the nape of her neck, holding her there. When did I ever say you couldn't work? She blinked. He hadn't. Actually, peace was restored, at least outside the bedroom, where Serena mostly humored him. She'd discovered a whole new world. Spoil Zane every day and you'll find the guy is actually pretty sweet. He treated her well. He kept her thriving. Asterisk, babe, I'm taking you to a party tonight. Are you sure I should go? You're my girlfriend. Why wouldn't you? She stopped protesting and went with him. Inside the VIP lounge, the only familiar face was Julian. Yet everyone greeted her like royalty. It looked like an ordinary get-together, until the door flew open. Morgan stormed in, hunting for Zane, but the first thing she saw was Serena. So you're Zane's little girlfriend? Yeah. Serena answered, puzzled. I'm the one he's engaged to. Arranged marriage alliance. Morgan studied her, waiting for a reaction. Serena only blinked. Oh, there was even a spark of excitement in her eyes. Interesting response. Julian's buddy whispered, why do I sense little sis-in-law is kinda thrilled? Lose the sense, she is. Julian stole a glance at Zane. Took forever to chase her and she still wants to bolt. If you don't like Zane, leave him and come with me. Little Wan. Serena was floored. What did Morgan mean? A glass slammed on the table. Morgan, outside. Now, even after they left. Serena sat there blank. Julian spoke up. Little sis. Morgan, the woman you just met, she swings both ways. So, Morgan had hit on her. Serena sank into thought. A while later the two returned. Morgan flopped onto the sofa. Julian, come put spotting Serena. She corrected herself. Come pop my arm back in. Only then did Serena notice the bruise on Zane's face. They'd fought? Zane, don't think you can steal little Wan just because you won the brawl. Let her choose, if you've got the guts. Zane stayed silent. He'd brawl, but he didn't dare let Serena choose. Serena said nothing either, and that crushed him. He grabbed her wrist to haul her out. Morgan moved to block, but Julian timed it perfectly and shoved her shoulder back into its socket. Morgan howled. Serena instinctively paused to look. That tiny pause set Zane off. He hoisted her over his shoulder and marched out. Morgan glowered at Julian. Birds of a feather. Thanks for the compliment, Julian grinned. A guy's got to run interference when his bro is wife hunting. They rode home in silence. The moment they stepped inside, Zane pinned her and kissed hard. She shoved him away. What's your damage now? He stood there, smiling, eyes stormy. So in your eyes, I'm just a psycho who snaps any second. Huh? Yeah. Psycho fits. Finn's company crash. My doing. Even if I hadn't moved. You know him. How far could your love have gone? You breezed through the showbiz scene because someone kept the wolves at bay. Guess who? You wanted freedom? Fine. I gave you a whole year. I nearly died overseas. Clawed my way back just to see you. You know how far this place is from your folks. I snuck over to watch you again and again while you were free. You never knew. You hopscotched over every line I drew. I let you. Serena. I'm not nice. Not a good man. I'm plain crazy about you. Pampering you. Staying up with you. Spoiling you. I'd rip my heart out if you asked. No matter what I do. You never see it, do you? If I gave you choices, would I ever be in them? Love or game? Real or fake? Are you blind or only pretending? Serena, do you even have a heart? If I'd known you don't, I'd rather have died over there. She stood frozen while he walked over and opened the front door. Go on, there's your freedom. He headed upstairs without looking back. She stared outside. The wind carried the smell of freedom, yet her feet felt nailed to the floor. Every sentence hammered her. Memories flooded in, and suddenly Zane looked terrifyingly perfect in them. Always losing it. No, until tonight he'd never hurled a cruel word. The tirade sounded more like bottled hurt. Her phone rang. Video call from Vance. Honey, what's up? Hey, where are you guys? Juan, you're in love and didn't tell us. Little Zane isn't some shameful secret. Serena froze. What? Look at this place. Nice. Huh. Zane flew us here. Said you missed us. This house must have cost a fortune. The boy is thoughtful. Vance chimed in. He came to see you? Yep. By the way, he's only a manager. Will buying Finn put pressure on him? Serena's eyes stung. She shook her head. It's fine. Relax. You too. Good. We like him a lot, her mom said. Dad, Mom, bought off by a house. Are we? Vance and her mom exchanged looks and shook their heads. We're not that cheap. A son-in-law has to treat you right first. Sweetie, when that boy talks about you, his eyes light up. You can't fake that. Tears almost spilled. Got it. I'll bring him home soon. Gotta run. Love you. She hung up, tears falling in steady drops. Days ago she'd casually said she missed her parents, and Zane had fetched them and leased a house. Wiping her face, she grabbed the first aid kit and went upstairs. Zane was on the balcony smoking, looking lonely. He heard her, spotted the kit, stubbed the cigarette and reached for it. I can manage. She wouldn't let go. Instead, she led him to the couch. Why didn't you leave? She opened the kit, dabbed iodine on his cut. Silent. Tears surged. She sobbed quietly. A pitiful sight. After a moment Zane sighed. Cool fingertips brushed her cheeks, catching the drops. You always play this card. I'm not low enough to touch your folks. You can walk if you want. The instant he finished she lunged into his arms. Not going. The corner of his mouth lifted. Thought it through. Babe, good. Stick around forever. Then, he scooped her up and carried her to the bedroom. Actions speak louder than promises. A long, sweet night. Morning, Serena opened her eyes to find Zane watching her as if he could never get enough. Morning, babe, she blinked, sensing something off, and narrowed her eyes. Where's your phone? He handed it over. Snoop away. She opened the Spycam app. Sure enough, cameras in every corner of the mansion. Zane snatched the phone back, flustered. What you want for breakfast? So if, after talking to Mom and Dad yesterday, I'd still decided to leave, what would you have done? He went still, gaze darting away. She laughed, stretched like a cat. Let me answer. You'd drag me back. Her laugh loosened his panic. Like a kid caught red-handed but suddenly backed up. He buried his head in her neck and caged her tight. Mad is fine. Never letting you go. Can't live without me. Huh, right? Can't live without my babe. He tensed. So when do I meet the parents? Wife? Her ears burned. Stop that. You said you'd take me home soon. We could also pick up a marriage certificate first. How's that sound? Silence stretched. Disappointment welled. He'd wait. He was good at waiting. Let me up. I need to brush my teeth. Now he went quiet. Let her up. Let her up. His head whipped toward her. Marriage certificate? Yeah. Yes. Brush. Go brush. I'll use the other bathroom. Go first. I'll Zane. Chill. Screw chill. He vaulted out of bed so fast she couldn't stop him. Asterisk when the little red marriage certificate was actually in his hand. Zane felt like he was dreaming. He glanced at Serena beside him. Happiness spilled over. Of all the people who'd ever treated Serena well, Zane claimed first place. She was his first choice. His preference. His exception.